So Chrisfix makes a video about flipping cars, which is huge because this guy has a huge platform on the internet. And really, I would thank him overall for the fact that I've been able to fix up a lot of different cars myself, primarily from his videos. But at the same time, I've been a car dealer myself for multiple years. And seeing this video, there's a lot of things that I would say are good, and there's a lot of things that I would say are bad that people really shouldn't follow. So with that being the case, I'm going to give you guys my reaction to see what went right, what went wrong with his video.
Hey guys, Chrisfix here, and today I'm going to show you how to flip a car to make some extra money. And under this car cover right here is my newest purchase, and this is the perfect example of a car any of you guys could easily buy and flip. Now, I don't want to mislead you guys. Flipping a car isn't as easy as everybody makes it look on the internet. There are some risks to it, but to help you get the best possible.
So I will say on this point right here, he's actually really accurate because as you guys know, if you searched up how to flip cars, there's a lot of different cars on the internet that'll quickly show, oh, how I made $4,000 flipping this car or whatever the case may be. And they might not even show exactly what work had to go into fixing that car in terms of like the whole aspect of it, especially with trying to find the car and then fixing up the car, how much time it took to fix up the car, different things like that. So he's definitely right with that aspect. Although I would say it's definitely something that a lot of people could pick up. It's not as easy as everybody thinks it is, especially if you really want to grow and scale with it over time.
Flips I've done in the past. One of my favorite examples, because you guys could totally flip this car yourself, is this non-running Trailblazer I found on Auto Tempest. The guy was asking $1,000. I offered him $500. He took it, and well, you're about to see why. Away, and I tried starting the car again. Okay, that's a good sign. The fuel pump is humming. Let's see if she'll start. Come on. All right. Yes, that is awesome. Okay, we got this. We got the car started. That's so good. So with the car,
you know, I gotta say, I can relate to being so excited just to get something like that going, especially if you bought a car that couldn't start and then boom, you fixed it and actually got it to start. It's the best feeling in the world.
And under the car, I quickly saw the bad muffler. So I cut the back of the muffler off, and on the other side, I unbolted the muffler, and then out with the old and in with the new. After bolting up the new muffler,
so you could see here, there's a pretty decent amount of stuff that he had to do. I think with this car is a couple of things. Like he had to, let's say, get the car to start. He had to fix the exhaust leak that it was having. He had to like detail it. I'm going to check to see how much profit he got off of it really quick.
Risk on this car for $500 since it wasn't running, and I fixed it all up using common hand tools for under $500 in parts. So for $1,000 all in, the car is now worth a little over $4,000, so the total profit is $3,000. Not bad for a couple days worth of work.
Yeah, so that was actually pretty good. I mean, he did do a good amount of work with it. Let's say he did buy it for $500 and then he put another $500 in with parts. Realistically, with all the fixing he did and the different things to get it ready for sale, he probably put in, I'm guessing, like 20 hours or so of work, probably like a weekend's worth of work basically, which isn't bad. I mean, again, that's where I would say most people should start actually. It's not as easy as some people on the internet make it out to be, where they buy a car for $500 and then next day it's sold apparently. No, usually if you're buying a car that cheap, you're kind of expecting that it's going to need a decent amount of repairs to really get it ready for sale and then to get that good profit after. I will say the good thing though is that it's so low risk, where let's say even if the worst case happens, let's say the engine is really bad or the transmission is bad, for most places you could just junk the car and get your money back. So again, it's not a bad place to start. We are going to fast forward to the current flip that he's doing though, that's mainly featured for this video. This was really flips that he did for a couple other videos that he did before.
So those are some of the flips that I've done, and it gives you a pretty good idea of what you could expect. Now you're probably wondering what's under the cover. Let me introduce you guys to my 2013 Toyota Prius.
So this is an interesting one. He has a Prius, which in itself isn't horrible. I mean, it's a hybrid car, which is a Toyota, and Toyotas basically will always sell in most markets. But at the same time, with it being a hybrid car, in the used market, let's say if you're buying it from Facebook Marketplace or, you know, someone's coming to check it out, just private sale, it could be pretty tough to sell these things just because people don't really know what the battery is like. It's one thing with stuff like the engine and transmission, but of course with these hybrid cars, the battery is a whole different subject and it could cost just as much as the engine as well. So it's one thing if it's like a full-on car dealership and you're selling a car like this, and of course you could sell it possibly with a warranty where people will feel a little bit safer. But usually I would suggest not going for hybrid cars if you're trying to sell it through private sale, because again, it's just going to sit a lot longer. People are going to be really wary of it. Wouldn't usually suggest that. But we're going to carry on through the video and see how he does with this one.
So to find a good car to flip, it all starts right here on your computer. And my secret weapon for finding cars quickly is a site called Auto Tempest. So this website searches a bunch of different
So honestly, I really wouldn't suggest Auto Tempest that much for searching for a car to flip. I mean, it's decent just for finding a good car deal. It's decent for just finding a good car deal. Let's say if you want to go to like a dealership or whatever to find a car. But let's say if you're buying a car to flip, usually the best place nowadays is just Facebook Marketplace and possibly OfferUp. Craigslist, I mean, it's on here as well, but most people don't really use Craigslist nowadays. Most people don't really use Craigslist nowadays for even posting up cars. And the other sites that's with Auto Tempest really aren't that good for just giving good deals. Even eBay and stuff, people don't really post up cars like that on eBay for great deals like that. At least not to say it won't happen, but it's not too frequent. So you're generally just better off going to Facebook Marketplace and just directly searching through there and possibly mixing it with OfferUp as well.
And finally, let me show you the Prius listing. This listing caught my eye because the price was lower than most other Priuses on the market. In good shape, this is an $8,000 or $9,000 car. So I checked the description and it said the hybrid battery was bad, which is a $5,000 fix from Toyota. There's also a rattle, which he thinks could be the engine. So I called up the seller. He told me a bunch about the car, and he said recently he's been having issues with the transmission slipping, and the car just doesn't accelerate anymore. He also sent me a...
So that's pretty tough right there, because that's two big issues that usually would be good to stay away from the car if it wasn't where you had a lot of experience fixing cars already. We're talking about the hybrid battery for the car, as well as the transmission potentially being the case. He didn't actually get there yet, so he doesn't exactly know. But unless you're someone that has a lot of experience fixing cars already, for this point, I would usually already pass on it. Of course, this is Chrisfix we're talking about, so he's done stuff like that already in the past. But for most people, if you're just getting into flipping cars, I would just steer clear of this car right from the jump.
Okay, so here's my 2013 Toyota Prius I purchased for $2,700, sight unseen. Now, normally, I don't like...
Sight unseen. That's tough. That's tough. I mean, so I do buy actually cars sight unseen, but it is on a dealer auction website that I use. It's called ACV Auctions. If you're a dealer, you probably know of it, but it's different because there's a lot of different things that they actually go into detail with when you're buying the car. And let's say if it's not what you expected when you get the car, you could potentially get your money back. With this, if you're buying private sale, that's sketchy. Like, you buy a car sight unseen, you don't really know what you're getting yourself in with. Of course, if you get a really good deal on it, it could kind of justify the price. But usually for me, I like to keep risk as low as possible when I'm flipping a car. And especially for most people, if you're just getting into flipping cars, I would suggest doing the same thing. So I don't know if I suggest that one.
Codes there are. So this is really simple. This is an awesome way for your car to tell you what's wrong with it. All you have to do is grab an OBD2 scanner. In this case, I'm using a Bluetooth one.
Gotta say, I love this scanner. This is the same scanner I actually use as my primary scanner, regardless of what car I'm checking out. And this is really like the first step that you should usually take when you're checking out a car. Of course, again, I would do this before even buying the car, not after buying the car. But it could tell you a lot of things that you need to know, especially things like if the codes were cleared and, of course, what the engine codes are, different things like that, which is some of the main things you really have to know, which is like, all right, what's the overall health of the car like?
Okay, so the next two things I like to look for with used cars that I'm trying to buy to flip are bad suspension parts and also bad brakes. Because I could buy the car at a discount since they're broken, it's easy for me to fix, and I could sell it at a profit. But in this case, the car's suspension and brakes are supposedly fine, so let's go for a test drive and find out.
So that's actually a big point right there. If you can get a car that you can kind of call out for having bad suspension and bad brakes, that could be a great deal, especially if you're someone that's just getting into flipping cars or just getting into like doing some mechanical work, just because you can try to cut down the price a good amount and say, oh yeah, let's say the mechanic's going to do it and maybe charge you $500 or $600. When in reality, you could do the job yourself and it might only cost you like $100 to $150 to get the parts for that vehicle. And usually those jobs in themselves aren't that hard, especially for brakes.
And as we head back, you can hear the rattle coming from the back of the car, which is great because my gamble with that noise not being an engine problem just paid off. And look at that. It's a rusted exhaust bracket that broke off. So let me shut the car, the ground clamp onto the exhaust, and let's weld this up.
Gotta say, you gotta love how much this guy has been able to do just from not even having his own shop. He's literally just doing this on in his own parking space. Like, he could do so many things already, being able to weld, fix things like hybrid batteries, transmissions, engines. Like, this is crazy, the skill set that he's gathered just from fixing his own cars himself, not even being a mechanic. Of course, again, this isn't exactly an easy thing to do. Welding is not specifically easy. People can do it, but it's not specifically easy. But I mean, at the same time, at least he was able to cut down on cost. He didn't have to go buying a whole different part or something. He's able to just weld it together and keep it going.
On the list that I look for in every single car I buy is a dirty interior. The dirtier, the better. And the reason being is cars with dirty interiors are usually not taken care of as well. So they sell for a lower price. And then you're able to clean and detail the interior, make it look almost brand new, and sell it for a higher price, giving you that profit margin. Think about it.
This is absolutely true, especially if you're someone that doesn't really want to get into a crazy amount of mechanical work. And again, you're just someone that's just beginning into flipping cars. That's huge. Like, if you could find a listing on Facebook or OfferUp or wherever the case may be, and it looks like the car is actually dirty still on the interior, you really want to try to jump on that, because most of the time it shows the person doesn't really know too much about even selling cars themselves. And it looks like the car has been a little neglected, which most likely when people are trying to look for the cars themselves, they're probably going to be passing on that. It's a great steal for you if you can offer them a lower price and get a great deal from that.
Like this. While the carpets might look pretty clean, there's still stains and dirt dissolved into the carpet fibers that you didn't remove.
So I would second this in saying that you should definitely try to get an extractor like that yourself. It doesn't have to be that particular one, but any realistically will be pretty good to get, because there's going to be some cars out there that are like completely filthy that you have to use that on. Like, if you don't use that, the stain's still going to be there. You might spill some water on, let's say, the seat, and if you just use like a little brush to scrub it up, the stain's just going to come right back. So I definitely would say, if you can afford it, they're usually not that expensive, maybe like $100 or so. Definitely try to get one.
Touch and see every time you use the car, so we want it clean. So use a brush with some soapy water on it and brush away all that dirt. Then we could wipe it clean. Good. Now we want to grab a brush and work some.
Gotta say, I love how detailed he's being with the detail. Like, most people would skip past things like that, but when you're selling an expensive car, let's say where it's like close to $10,000 for it, this is the stuff that really does go a long way, because people, they're investing a lot of money into the car. They want it to really pop out to them. They really want to see that car looking in immaculate condition if possible. So this little detail is doing stuff like that. That really helps.
We're going to be using a cleaner wax, which does all three steps in one. It has that polish built into it to bring back the faded paint so it's nice and glossy. And it also has a wax built into it so it'll protect the paint when we're done. So let's get started. The cleaner wax to our DA polishing pad and spread it out on the panel so it won't fling everywhere when you turn it on. Then crank up the speed to around 5,000 RPMs and move the polisher about 1 inch per second. You want to polish in one direction. In this case, I'm going up and down, and make sure you overlap each pass.
So this is actually great that he's doing that. If you're selling a cheaper car, you don't have to do it too much. Like, let's say if it's like $2,000 or so, but let's say this car ends up selling for like $8,000 or something around there, close to $10,000. Again, this is the stuff that really goes a long way, actually doing a full detail, not even on the interior, but on the exterior, doing buffing and different things like that. That stuff can really help you sell the car a lot better, because again, people, that's a bigger investment. Like, they want to see that the car is almost looking like it's brand new.
We went from this incredibly dirty engine bay that's probably never been touched since it was brand new to this beautifully detailed engine bay that looks brand new. Check this out. It came out amazing.
Looking good. This is another key point that a lot of people forget to do if they're going to be detailing the car, but the engine bay, that's basically a part that everybody will look at as well if you're going to be checking out a car. Most people don't even know what they're really looking for. They'll just pop the hood and be like, okay. But again, if it's an expensive car like this, key point to try to do it as well.
Just things I want you guys to keep an eye out for so you don't get burns. And these cut.
Oh, actually, now that he's bringing up his checklist, I did want to bring up too, actually, there's also a checklist that I made myself. It's not really just for, let's say, buying a good used car deal. It's actually for flipping cars in general. So it's like the key aspects that you want to check to make sure that you're buying a good car to flip. And it's one that you don't have to be buying with a crazy amount of work, potentially like this one. And instead could actually be something that's like a lower risk flip as well. If you do want access to that, just go to the link in the description below. But let's see what else he has going in the video. There's actually 2 different videos that he made. This was one part of the video. And then there was another part where he was basically teaching how he changed the hybrid battery in this car as well.
But get them in here and slide them to the end. Next, we have batteries 4, 5, 6, and 7. Then we have batteries 8.
All right, so here he's basically just showing how he actually changed the hybrid battery. I would say, again, this is not something that most people honestly should even attempt. He has a lot of mechanical experience, so this stuff like this, it might look easy for him doing it. Even now, I wouldn't even say it's exactly easy. I mean, there's a 40-minute video of him doing it himself. Most people could probably expect to do it for like 3 hours or so to get the same job done. But truthfully, this is kind of a dangerous thing, like playing with cars' batteries and trying to do it yourself. I wouldn't really suggest doing it unless you have a lot of mechanical experience. Unless you have a lot of mechanical experience to do it yourself. But we're gonna just skip to the end to see exactly how much he ended up selling the car for as well.
Battery, which is brand new, and we put about $100 in hubcaps and cleaning supplies and stuff like that into the car. So for $5 grand, we have a car that's worth at least $3,000 or $4,000 more. We could easily get $8 grand for this if we find the right buyer, maybe even $9,000, and they'll have.
All right, so first of all, gotta say, great job with the overall car. I mean, he did a great job getting everything ready with the detailing, with the mechanical work. I mean, it probably took him about, I'm guessing, like 20 hours or so to do all that work together. And I would say this was a great video for him, especially for his videos. You already know, if you've seen Chrisfix, it's mainly a mechanic fixing type of channel, which is awesome in itself, and he used this flip to teach a lot of other things. But realistically, you could find a deal through private sale getting the same profit that he got from flipping this car with a lot less work involved. And actually, if you want to see how I do that myself, I actually have a whole flipping series going where I'm flipping $1,000 to $100,000 with cars. And most of the vehicles that I get are vehicles that don't really need a lot of mechanical work. So if you want to see how I do that myself, you can click into that with the next video. And that's about it, guys. Subscribe if you want more content about flipping cars, and I'll catch you.